Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari 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 Bol. Thank you all for chanting, very enthusiastic group. Radhe Shyam. Krishna consciousness movement. Actually, the way this Sankirtan movement began was in West Bengal. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, Avadvip, and from there, the chanting of the holy names began. Over 500 years ago, this process of Sankirtan, glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although the chanting in Hare Krishna had been there from eternity, this chanting, as we do now, is the recommended process of understanding our eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. It's through the chanting of the holy name that the heart becomes cleansed. Our hearts are now, at least I can speak for myself, a little cloudy, if not dirty. And the chanting of the holy name cleanses the heart of all the unwanted things that have accumulated there over many, many, many hundreds of thousands of lifetimes. So this process of chanting Hare Krishna was brought to America fall of 1965. The founder of our society was given a pass on a cargo ship with a little cabin on a cargo ship to come to America. What he brought with him were crates of the books that he had translated. He had translated the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is a Bhagavat Purana, and it is that which gives us knowledge by which, just as the sun rises in the age of Kali, it's so dark, but the Srimad Bhagavatam can open the heart of any and every living entity who takes shelter of this Bhagavat Purana. And he brought that with him. And he came, the boat stopped. I guess you don't call it a boat if you're a Navy person. It's a ship. the ship docked at Boston. Srila Prabhupada took a little stroll around the Boston harbor, and then got on the ship, went to New York City, and that's where he, what would you say, got off the ship. In between Boston and New York, he wrote a poem, Markandeya Risha, what is it called? Markandeya Bhagavad, thank you. And in that prayer, he submitted himself to Krishna, saying that, how will the people in this place ever understand the meaning of the Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita? They are so, what would you say, sunk in the mode of passion and ignorance, that how will this be able to manifest within their hearts and understand their relationship to the Supreme Lord? He prayed to Krishna, you have brought me here for some reason. I don't know what I'm going to do. But if you brought me here to dance, then make me dance, let me dance, make me dance. And that's what happened. A few months, he had a sponsor, Butler, Pennsylvania, which is now famous. It was actually famous before because it was Srila Prabhupada's first residence in America. And even there, he began teaching. He would go to the YMCA, he would go to different, organizations, libraries, and present Krishna consciousness until he finally ended up in New York City. He had an acquaintance, Dr. Vaidya Mishra. That's my Ayurvedic Dr. Mishra. My Ayurvedic doctor is Vaidya Mishra. This is hard. So he began his explanation of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and a few people were coming around. And then he got a little flat. And then he got robbed. And then he had to go another place. And he got robbed again. He was like homeless on the street at different times. Being booted out of the house and going on the street and not knowing which direction to go. But he said, but I was a Calcutta boy. Calcutta boys, they can handle it. So somehow or another, he gathered a small group of followers, and they arranged for him to have a storefront. And behind the storefront was a little apartment. And they rented that $75 a month, plus for the storefront, and I think the flat was $35. You had to put 2 zeros behind those nowadays to live there. And he was giving Bhagavad Gita classes Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And he slowly got a small group of men and women joining him. And that's where the Hare Krishna movement actually began. Actually, one day he said, we're going to go to the park and chant. Nobody had ever chanted in public the holy names of Krishna ever before on this, United States of America. And he goes to Tompkins Square Park. There's a famous picture of him. And there's a tree there where he sat under the tree. He didn't even have a mridanga. He had a bongo drums. I don't know if anybody here is like familiar with bongo drums. They were popular in the beatnik pre-hippie age. And actually people were amazed at how well he played the bongos. He played the bongo because he knew how to play mridanga, so he could do the mridanga beats on the bongos. And he sat there for several hours and chanted Hare Krishna. And then he would stop and explain and started chanting Hare Krishna. And sooner, all of this like magic, it's called Krishna magic. People started gathering around, and a few of his students began to dance with their arms raised up, chanting and glorifying the holy names of the Lord, as was done by the inner circle of the beginning of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. Kirtan means chanting. Sankirtan means the complete chanting. Sankirtan is generally performed outside for everyone to hear. Or else we can do it together in the temple. Very nice when we can go out. We have a few residents in our community here that go out every Sunday and sometimes Fridays and chant on the streets the holy name of the Lord in front of Trader Joe's on Sundays at 3 o'clock, and I can't remember, some ice cream parlor down in Deep Elm on Friday. So the message was very, very urgent. The message he brought was given by Krishna to Arjuna some 5,000 years ago. Arjuna was on the bodily conception of life. Anybody here ever experienced being on the bodily conception of life for a few minutes? The bodily conception of life. Bodily conception of life means we have different identities. I'm male, I'm female, I'm from North Dakota, I'm from Texas, I'm Indian. So many upadhis, so many upadhis, designations. Actually, the founder of our society wrote a little pamphlet one time, because when they first started going out chanting Hare Krishna in Tompkins Square Park, you can imagine at one point they had a big bass drum, going down the road in New York City, chanting Hare Krishna with a big bass drum. And so people started mocking them sometimes. Everybody likes to mock something that's not in their, we say, normal course of their day. And they would say, these people are crazy. They just go to the park and bang drums and just chant all day long. They're crazy. So the founder of our society wrote a pamphlet, Who's Really Crazy? And this was what Srila Prabhupada actually came to teach. Who's really crazy? He says these upadhis, designations, I can guarantee unless you are 100% realized soul, you have some designation within your heart that you are. Like I was saying, American, Mexican, Chinese, so many different things. Actually, everything belongs to Krishna. We just put little lines in the dirt and say this belongs to this person, this belongs to that person, but it actually belongs to Krishna. If all of a sudden I got up and I started acting in a different way, actually that happened one time in a Hare Krishna temple many, many years ago. There was a young man that had just moved into the temple and was practicing Krishna consciousness, but we knew he was a little touched, but he wasn't too touched that he could still stay. He did a lot of service. We thought that this chanting of Hare Krishna will actually purify him. And then one time in the middle of the Sunday feast, he just got up and he started acting like a chicken. So if I got up right now and started acting like a chicken, and you couldn't convince me I wasn't a chicken, what would you do? Raise your hand if you have an idea what you should do with me. Don't be shy.
Can you repeat the question? The last line. Can you repeat the last line?
If I'm acting like a chicken, and you cannot convince me that I'm not a chicken,
Mhm.
what would you do?
Take you to a psychiatrist.
Thank you very much. Why would you take me to a psychiatrist?
Because I know that you're not a chicken. There's something wrong with you, so you need help. That's why you'd go to a psychiatrist.
Okay, very good. Very smart young lady. Very, very good. You did very well. Thank you.
Haribol.
So why would we call a psychiatrist if I'm acting like a chicken? Now I'm acting like I'm an American. But I'm not American. I'm an eternal spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. Maimaya Vangso, Jiva Loka, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. I'm an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. And I have an eternal relationship with Krishna. And I have forgotten that. And I think that I am this material body inasmuch as the person who is overly touched thinks he's a chicken. So what's the difference? There is no difference. This place is an insane asylum, the whole world. That's pretty strong words, isn't it? If we think we're something other than our eternal position as servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that doesn't mean that in this current body we can't do that. We can actually do that. We can use this body in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and purify our existence so that we can actually go back to our original relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is a process by which we do this. It's not that you have to just do something different. Everything we do, we can do. If you have to go shopping for Krishna. You have to buy foodstuffs. When you're in the market, think, what will Krishna like? Bananas, apples, strawberries, mangoes, Alfonsos. Is that how you say it? Alfonso? For Krishna. And that's what the founder of our society said. You don't have to change anything in your life, just add Krishna. And if we can just add Krishna, then everything becomes valuable. I may be a, what would you say, quantum physics PhD that has discovered, which they can't actually figure out, how time works. We have the past, we have the present, we have the future, but no physicist can ever figure out how that works. There's no mathematical formula for understanding how past, present, and future happens. But we know it happens. But say I was that person. To say I was that person, I could utilize my position to share Krishna consciousness with many other educated people. Or if I happen to be a house cleaner, I can use that position to help people become Krishna conscious. I can be a policeman. I think we have a policeman that comes here sometimes. Yeah, he comes here. We make him take off his police boots. We should give him some covers so he doesn't have to unstrap 50 laces. We can be a policeman for Krishna. Practically speaking, we can be anything for Krishna. And then we see ourselves differently from the way we saw ourselves before. We see ourselves in relationship to Krishna because we're not this body. What does Krishna say in the Gita? We can all experience this. Dehinosmin, everybody. Dehinosmin yata dehe komaram yovanam jara tatiham tanam praptir dira satta namuyati. As the embodied soul moves from childhood to youth to old age, similarly, the soul passes on to another body at the time of death. We've all experienced reincarnation already in this lifetime. I just turned 72. Happy birthday a month ago. Actually, my lunar birthday was Wednesday, I think. I have a lunar birthday. And have a solar birthday. And I have some in between, too. Every day is a birthday. Rebirth into spiritual awareness each and every day. So they say you get new cells every 7 years. You get a new body. So I've had 7. But which body am I? Am I this body, or was I the 5-year-old body? I was neither of them. But we register that. And we become convinced of that. Actually, there was one. You want to hear a funny story about not being the body? This happened about 1976 in the Gainesville Temple, Gainesville, Florida, University of Florida. We had a Sunday program like this, and the speaker was speaking like me. We're not the body. The body is like a car. We're the driver. Just a million different examples like that to make it easy to understand. And finally, at the end, he said, "Any questions?" This one student stood up and he says, "I just can't figure it out. If I'm not this body, then whose body am I?" Because he was so convinced he was a body, and if he was not that body, then whose body was him? Was him, was he? And so this idea, this identification, the fact that we identify ourselves so much with this material body is something that we really have to work on. And how we do that. How do we do that? We utilize it in the service of Krishna. We can utilize our body in the service of Krishna. We transfer from Komaram, Yovanam, Jara, from a child to youth to old age. And at the time of death, we pass on. Use the example of a car. There's a car. The car represents the body. The soul represents the driver. When the person driving the car stops and gets out, does that mean he has no more activities? He continues to work. He continues to have activities. He continues to do so many things. It's like changing rooms. We go from this room to that room. Does that mean we don't exist anymore? Doesn't mean that we don't exist anymore. It just means that we're existing someplace else. The founder of our society used to get pretty strong on this, quite strong on this point. He would say that the son is weeping over the, coffin of the father, the father that passed, and he's crying and crying. My father is gone. My father is gone. But he's lying right there. What is gone? What is gone? How much of each other do we actually know? Our parents. We know our parents so well. Our family so well. Our close friends so well. But they're lying right there. If we say they're gone, how much did we really know of that person? Because we don't even know what is gone. It's the consciousness. Yata prakashya eka krishnam lokam idam ravai shetra tata krishna prakashayati bharata. Just as the sun alone illuminates this whole universe with light, similarly, the soul illuminates this body with consciousness. So wherever we see consciousness, we can understand there to be a soul present. I was speaking with a very, very wonderful young person yesterday, early in the morning, around 10 o'clock, and they were asking, is there a soul in the tree? I said, the tree has consciousness. The tree knows Angrapa. Trees are known as Angrapa. I think that's one of the words where they eat through their roots. That's how they eat. They eat through their roots. And they know that they have to go find sunlight. Plants know they have to do that. There's consciousness here. I used to use this analogy one time, maybe 1979, 80, 81. I was in Recife, Brazil, which is the easternmost point of South America, city of the reefs, Recife, city of the reefs. And we had rented the governor's house for a temple. It had 29 different types of fruits growing on the property. Big, expansive property. I could touch a mango tree from the second story of on my balcony. I could touch a mango tree. That's how big and beautiful it was. And then when I saw this little papaya tree next to the mango tree was exerting its superior power over the papaya tree by usurping all the sunshine. It happens even in plant life. And the papaya tree was going in so many different directions trying to find the sun. It wasn't a papaya tree like this. It was a papaya tree that looked like a corkscrew. It was trying to find the sunlight. But you can't tell me there's no consciousness in a papaya tree. I saw it with my own eyes. But what is that consciousness? Consciousness is the spirit soul. It's part and parcel of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Krishna is not a sectarian name of the Supreme Lord. Some people may say, why Krishna? Krishna just means all attractive. Wealth, strength, beauty, knowledge, renunciation, fame, all these different things in full. In full. The Supreme Lord has them, so therefore he's called Krishna, the all-attractive one. There are many names of God. And in each and every one of these names of God, all the potency of God is present within that name. Namnamakari bahujanija sarvashakti tatarpita niyamita smarane nakalaham. My dear Lord, you have hundreds and millions of names. And in each and every one of these names, you have invested all your spiritual potency. Namnamakari bahujanija sarvashakti tatarpita niyamita smarane nakalaham. Sarva Shakti. Anybody goes to yoga, they'll hear the word Shakti. So Sarva Shakti, all the energy. And in this age, Namnamakari Bahuja Nija Sarva Shakti Tatarpina Niyamita Smarane Nakalaha. In Kali Yuga, which is the winter season on the universal scale, just like now we're in fall season here in Dallas, and we're moving into winter. And then we'll go into spring and summer. It's just like a rotate. So the universe also has a seasonal change. And right now we're in the winter season of the universal seasonal changes. And in this age, Krishna gives the holy name. And in this age, there are no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy names of God. Just imagine previously, the yuga or the age before was detailed deity worship, detailed temple worship. We can't even come close to chanting the mantras. Before that, it was doing fire sacrifices. They had to chant the mantras so perfectly. They actually had a referee, like a referee Sanskrit person on the thing, blows the whistle. Okay, go back, chant that mantra back, a little bit more on the ah, a little less on the e. And so they had a referee, and just so they wanted, the mantras had to be chanted so perfectly. Before that, we just sit silently in meditation. And that age was so clean and so pure that we didn't get disturbed at all. I can guarantee everyone here is disturbed all the time. They just don't admit it. In one way or another. Maybe just a little tiny, tiny, tiny bit, or a big, big, big bang, bang, bang. Everybody is being disturbed by three different energies, the three different things. Adi Atmaka means we're being disturbed by our own bodies and minds. I wish they had an on and off switch for the mind. That would be nice, just for a few minutes at least. Adi Bhotika is Adi Atmika, Klesha, miseries or disturbances. Adi Bhotika, other people's bodies and mind causing disturbance. And then Adi Daivika Klesha, miseries caused by natural disturbances, by nature. Like we just had a double header in New York and in Florida. Double header. What was the name? Helena? Milton. So the idea is, you need something? You need something? Oh, okay. No rock and roll in the Hare Krishna temple. So each and every one of us is under this situation 24/7. Just like somebody rocking back and forth in front of you. Adi Bhotika. Somebody behind you telling you can't rock back and forth. Adi Bhotika. Let's just get down to the truth. Don't turn red. Life's always, Borjan Prabhu says that, Trinadapi, does anybody know this verse? Please say it with me. Trinadapi sunichena tadorapi suhishnana amanina manadena kirtaneva sadahari. That one who's should be in a humble state of mind, thinking themselves lower than the blade of grass and more tolerant than a tree. So how do we become humble? And Borjan says, humiliation precedes humility. Y'all hear that? Are you with me now? Are you with me? Humiliation precedes humility. We are humiliated. Why are we humiliated? Because we're acting as something that we're not. We're acting as this material body. We're not the material body, we're the soul inside. And therefore we have so many different things, so many different impressions. How many different impressions can we can't even count them, that are on the mind for all the past lives we've actually gone through. So many impressions. And the only panacea, or the only way we can rid ourselves of this designate, I'll just use the word again, this designation, is to cleanse the heart. Is to cleanse the heart of all these misgivings. And we can do that. That's what this whole temple is for. We have this temple so that everybody can come here, everybody can chant, everybody can dance, everybody can feast. That is our philosophy. Chanting, dancing, feasting. And every once in a while some Swami comes and gives a little philosophy, and then we go back to dancing, chanting, and feasting. It's meant to be an oasis in the desert of the material energy. Why do we call the material energy a desert? Because there's nothing to quench the thirst. We have a thirst. We have so many thirsts. Now we have perverted thirsts. Can't even tell you sometimes where my mind goes. So horrible. We have so many thirsts for so many things. And we're in the desert trying to quench that thirst. In the illusory mirage, it rises up on the plain of the desert. It looks like water, but it's not. It's dry. And we're trying to satisfy ourselves in that desert. And we can't do it. Therefore, this Krishna consciousness movement is meant to be an oasis where we can go and be refreshed. I mean, you may have seen it, a picture of an oasis in a National Geographic magazine. There's a huge desert, and all of a sudden there's like a little pool and some palm trees growing out in the middle of nowhere. And that's what this is meant to be. So how do we make this be a real oasis for everyone to find shelter here? What does it take? It takes humility and it takes tolerance. It takes humility and it takes tolerance. I just saw I don't know if y'all know about The Wisdom of the Sages by Kastuba Prabhu and Raghunath. He just interviewed a devotee that was from Paris, and as a young man, he was on a quest trying to figure out what everything was all about. And he, at one point, decided, I'm going to walk to Vrindavan. I'm going to walk to India from Paris. It was like we had it planned out like a 4 or 5 year journey to reflect. I mean, if you go on Bhakti Marg Swami takes the walk all the way across, I think it's Newfoundland to past Vancouver or wherever that place is. A lot of contemplation you can do at that time. When you're alone and have a goal, things clear up. Things clear up. So he was walking. He has so many stories. Like he was in Turkey. And in Turkey, they have wild dogs. And he's walking alone, and these packs of wild dogs that attack bear were snarling at him. And the person that was doing the interview said, well, how often that happened? Like every month? How many times? He said, every other day. I was being surrounded by wild dogs. But somehow or another, Krishna protected me. And then he got to Iran, and he was walking, and he had made a vow, I will not stop until I understand this and I get all the way to India. And I think specifically Vrindavan Dham. And he was in Iran, and he went to extend his visa, and they wouldn't extend his visa. So sad. He couldn't continue walking. He had to fly, I guess, Beirut or someplace in Iran. He had to fly to Delhi. And he was thinking that he had, although shedding so much different identities that he had gained through his life or previous lives. So many identities he had, they were being shed one by one as he was walking. And as he was walking, he was gaining a new identity. I'm the one that walked all the way from Paris to Vrindavan. Another upadhi, another designation. And so when he finally landed in Delhi, walked to Vrindavan, he came in as a humbled soul. A soul that had been humbled because he thought he was the doer, but he's not. Say it with me if you know it. Prakriti kriyamanani gunar karmani sarvasaha ahankara vibhudatma kartaham. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature, believes or thinks himself to be the doer of activities, which are simply being enacted by the modes of material nature. We think we want our hair this way. That's because the mode of nature that we have has dictated, literally dictated to us how we want our hair. It dictates to us how we want to dress. It's just like you have to have a uniform if you go to some places. So the modes of material nature, they put us in a uniform. They put us in an identity. And each and every one of our activities, we think we're doing. But in actuality, we're just being led by the modes of material nature. And until we learn to rise above the modes of material nature, we'll be dictated. I mean, if I tell you, I know my friend Coco, if I tell you, I'm going to dictate everything that you're going to do for the next 40 days. You can't breathe, blink your eyes, or anything without me telling you. What would you think? Good or bad? Medium, in between. That's a question for you. That would you appreciate? Huh? Wouldn't make any sense. Why? If you're entitled for the freedom, you have some independence. Sorry to pick on you. I have to do it to some. Because we have independence, we want freedom. We have no freedom. We're being dictated by the modes of material nature, and we are captivated. Daivi Hesha, say it along with me if you know it. Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mamamaya Drantiya. This divine energy of mine, this material energy, it's actually divine. Material energy is divine because it's coming from the divine. And it has a divine purpose. Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dharantiya. If everybody could please just move 22 and a half inches forward, and then the people in the back can have a place to sit. Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dharantyata. Dharantya means prison. We're in prison. And when you're in prison, you do as the prison warden says. And the prison warden in the material world is the three modes of material nature. And they're dictating to the prisoners exactly what they're going to have to do until they can break free from the clutches of the modes of material nature and experience their eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's right there in the ABCs of Bhagavad Gita. We don't want to be in jail anymore. I've told you before, I went to jail for Krishna a couple of times. And both times Krishna protected me completely. One time I got arrested in Tallahassee, Florida. Giving out books at the mall. And I went to jail, and they had to count up all the funds that I had collected that day. A lot of pennies, dimes, nickels, quarters, dollar bills. And all of a sudden, all these orange men came down, handcuffed to, I think I told this story, handcuffed to the stainless steel belts they were wearing, and handcuffed on the feet with chains going down. And I looked at the person and I said, well, I guess those are my roommates for the night. And he asked me why I was there. And I said, well, he put me in jail for passing out religious books. And he said, you don't belong here. I said, well, let me out. He says, no, I'm the one that puts them in. I can't let you out. I'm the intake. So you have to go to the outtake. And I said, I guess these are my roommates for tonight. And he says, oh, no saintly person's going to live with those. I'm going to give you your own cell. let them fight it out in the other three. So I got my own cell. And the next day the judge said, time served, ridiculous. It's nice going to jail for Krishna. It gives you a lot of realizations. The other one's too long of a story. But I was arrested for aggravated battery with intent to kill somebody with my car, which was false. The judge threw it up. But we're all prisoners. When I was in prison for 5 days for aggravated battery, my bail was $50,000. We didn't have $5,000, 10% to get me and my partner, get out of jail. We had to wait 5 days to bring it down to $5,000 bail so we could afford the $500 to get us out. What a wonderful experience. 15 minutes, we had a program. We had our own cell. 15 minutes of chanting Hare Krishna on beads, 15 minutes of singing bhajans, 15 minutes of reading, 15 minutes of chanting japa on our beads, 15 minutes singing, 15 minutes reading, and we went through the whole day like that. Very purifying. Very purifying. It's amazing because I could have gone to jail for 7 to 15 years in the Florida State Penitentiary. That's how crazy it is. When we were in jail, the other, you know, they weren't in our cell, but we could talk to everybody. And what did you do? We didn't do anything. We're just tripping. Yeah, I was innocent too. Everybody in the jail was innocent. There wasn't one guilty person in the whole jail. And that's just like this room right now. Everybody here doesn't think that they should be in jail. They think we're all innocent. Sorry. Getting a little brutal there. We're all prisoners. How many steps is there for grief? 4, 5, 9, stages of grief. Let's get to the point of acceptance. Anybody here? We are sad in this material world. We're being beaten down by this material world. Our own bodies and minds are beating us. Other people's bodies and minds are beating us. Material nature is beating us. Let's go through the griefs, list, and let's get to the final point, acceptance. Let's accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is my duty, my heart's desire for me to serve. That's loving, benevolent, kind, Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is simply here. He simply came here out of his causeless mercy, Atmamayaya, out of his causeless mercy, to give us this knowledge so we can become freed of the suffering they're undergoing every single day, be it that much or be it that much. This is a golden opportunity. It's a golden opportunity. All we have to do is make the decision. I'm a normally I have a hard time making decisions. If anybody that's close friends of mine knows, I'm going to India on the 22nd of October. I must have booked that ticket 55, 65, 75 times. My friends know that. Book, rebook, change my mind, change my mind, change my mind, change my mind. Actually, I hadn't ended up in the hospital. That changed my mind. Or the hospital changed my mind. But let's get to the point where we just accept. Anybody here want to get to the point where we just accept? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's just accept. Accept our position. Humble servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when we connect to that service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we become filled with joy. Susukam kartam avyayam. Susukam kartam. Rtadhvaja Rajaguyam Pavitam. It's full of happiness. a relationship with Krishna isn't slave and master. It's loving relationships. Loving relationships. Does anybody have a question or comment or reflection? Please, sir.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for your class. I was wondering if me personally or an individual has trouble accepting Krishna because maybe in the past we've accepted things that weren't Krishna, and we have some acceptance problem there, like trust or acceptance. How can we bring ourselves to come to a point where we do accept Krishna?
You're talking about trust issues.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nobody in this room that doesn't have faith right now and trust. Everybody here has it. It may not be Krishna, but each and every one of us have faith and trust. We have trust that the ceiling's not going to fall down on my head. We have trust that the big guy in the back's not going to come and pound you on the head. You have trust that if we give you something to eat, there's no poison in it. So it's not, if you go into this Aristotle type thing where you go into infinite regress, not this, not this, not this, not this. At a certain point, if you don't accept something as an axiomatic truth, you come to the point of total insanity. So we have accepted so many things. Learn how to accept Krishna. Now, how are you going to do that? Hear about Krishna. Whatever you put in comes out. And if you can put Krishna, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare, then your heart's going to be full of Krishna, and you'll experience something. And that's what Krishna's all about. Don't worry about all these psychological things that they tell you. You know, you need to go back someplace and relive the fact that your mother didn't give you a cookie on Tuesday. It's not like that. Okay, now we'll have our announcements. Thank you all for attending. Please make this your home, as Nrsimha Rupa will say. Thank you all for attending. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.